One. Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kageyama, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to Be Your Own Hero. I'm a stage 4 prostate bone and lung cancer patient slash survivor. Been dealing with cancer since early 2021. Doing absolutely fantastic and so happy to be here. And just a little plug for the channel. Please like, subscribe, make a comment in the comment section, and hopefully you'll become a regular viewer of this channel. And I started this channel to share a message of hope and inspiration. And hopefully that's what you'll get. And hopefully we'll get a big dose of it today because we have a real special guest today. And he's a little bit a different type of guest than we usually have. And I can't wait to discuss things with him. And so let's just cut to the chase and get to our special guest today, Dr. Mark Rutland, and he is somebody very, very special. Dr. Mark, please tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, and we'll get a great, great conversation going here.
All right. Thank you, Mark. It's nice to be with you and with all of your subscribers as well. Excuse me, with all your subscribers as well. I am 77 years old. I was the president of two different universities over a space of 16 years. I was the president at Southeastern University in Lakeland, Florida, and then moved to Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Before that, I pastored a very substantial church, about 9,000 members in Orlando, Florida. I've established an overseas missions agency called Global Servants. We have girls' homes in two different continents and churches in 5 countries. Our son is now the president of that, and he also pastors a church in Cartersville, Georgia, which is where we live to attend our son's church. And the book that you have is my 20th, total and complete departure from anything I've ever written in the past. You say this interview is a departure. That book is a complete departure.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I would have never guessed in a million years that you're 77. You look absolutely fantastic. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
no, no, absolutely. And I hope I look that good in 11 years.
Yeah, I turned, excuse me, I turned 77 on election day, as a matter of fact. It was my birthday.
Wow.
And I don't know if
Wow.
all your listeners got what they wanted, but I got what I wanted.
Yes, that is great. So, happy birthday and happy election day at the same time. So that is
Thank you.
that is absolutely fantastic. And so let's talk about more about what you do and how you help people and work with people. And because again, this channel is an inspirational channel, a channel of hope. And let's start heading down that path.
All right. There are two areas right now that I'm no longer, when I say I'm, when I say I'm retired, what I would say is I just don't want to manage something substantial. When I left ORU, the annual budget was 105 million. I had hundreds of employees, and I just felt I just really don't want to do that anymore. But I did not want to let go of leadership and ministry, and as you say, helping people. So I continued to write. I've written 4 books since I left ORU, and I established a leadership institute, the National Institute of Christian Leadership, and it specializes in practical leadership and ministry experience, both for we have people from the business world, and from the religious nonprofit college world. And then also I do a great deal of consulting, colleges that are in trouble, churches that need turnaround. The only book I wrote that made the New York Times bestseller list was called Relaunch. It was about how to stage an organizational comeback. So that's something I've sort of specialized in, is helping people that have, gotten in a hole that's over their head.
That sounds great. And you're doing great work. And so I thank you for that. I'm all about, I'll have a question for you at the very end. And I'm all about, I want to see this world come together and live harmoniously and not be so divided and divisive. And, because that's what it's all about is respecting your fellow man and appreciating your fellow man and helping your fellow man as well. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, of course. Also, it simply isn't. It isn't healthy. It isn't positive. All that anger and divisiveness and stress, and it's emotionally fatiguing. It's psychologically exhausting, and it's physically harmful. It living in that kind of emotional stress is bad for you. There's an old phrase we used to say all the time: "You make me sick." You ever hear that? You make me sick. Actually, we do make each other sick. That's actually a true statement.
I completely agree. Let's talk about a person's mindset. How important is mindset? We talk a lot about mindset on this channel, and what's so important, in my opinion, is having the right mindset for a cancer journey.
Mm,
Because what happens is we were talking a little bit before we got on here. What happens is people are given a diagnosis in in the cancer world. What they try to do is they try to push you as fast as they can to get involved in their system.
mm,
And whether the need is urgent or not, it just seems like that's their normal protocol, is to really push people to get involved so that,
yes.
because cancer, let's face it, cancer is big business.
Mm.
And there's so many things involved with cancer that involve outrageous sums of money. And that's why many cancer patients are devastated financially because of the high cost that their insurance is not able to cover and things
Of
like
course.
that. So a cancer journey is very complex. I mean, there's so many different facets about it that people do not discuss or talk about because there's so much out there. But one of the things that I stress on this channel is to make sure that you have the right mindset when you embark on a cancer journey, and having a positive attitude, having the belief that you can beat cancer. Because let's face it, if there's no hope, if you don't have the hope in your heart and believe that, then where are you really? And so let's talk about mindset and how we can apply it to cancer patients.
Absolutely. And and it's not only true in the journey through the terrible tunnel of cancer and all of the medical issues and the emotional issues and the relational issues that go with it. It's in every journey of life. How you think about it actually determines your actions more than anything else. The paradigm with which you approach something is either inspiring and ennobling and empowering, or it's debilitating. There isn't really a neutral mindset with regard to a journey of fear and stress. So if you can get your mind there, your journey is going to be better, irrespective of the ultimate outcome. Now, for me, I don't know all of your subscribers. For me, that mindset hangs clearly on my faith that my God is a good God and a loving God and an all-powerful God who knows me and cares for me and knows what I'm facing every second, every minute, and that it's important to him because I'm important to him. And once I get my mind around that God is with me, that he is within me, and in this journey every step of the way, and that he is a good and loving God. He's not in heaven tearing wings off of butterflies. That he is a loving God, and he has not sent this affliction, whatever it is, cancer, anything. God has not looked down from heaven and say, "Hey, I think I'll give this chap cancer." That's an aberration of any view of a righteous and loving God. We live in a fallen universe. Life happens, but none of that negates who God is in the journey with us. So for me, the positive mindset hangs on my faith. But I would say this, even if a person has is not a believer, has no faith at all, if they can get a mindset of positive energy and life and vital conviction that life is good and life is worth living and life is worth saving, that they're better off with it.
1,000% agree. I mean, I love talking about mindset because, in fact, let's talk about how we can control our mindset. And because we have the ability to do that. So if you could talk to that aspect.
Yeah, I apologize for this cough. We all have a set of tapes that are internal. If that's not too old timey, CDs or whatever you want to call them, and those tapes will play themselves if we don't play the right ones. They'll decide, and the tapes almost have a mind of their own, and tapes of negativity and tapes of doubt and tapes of hurt and self-pity and all of those things. And the problem is, Mark, they play on a loop. If they would just play one time and go away, that's fine. But they play on a loop. As soon as it's over, it starts over again. And it just continues to play. If you continue to play the wrong tapes, there's no way to change your mindset. You have to change tapes. There's a great book. It's not mine, so I guess I'm on here to sell my book, and I'm selling somebody else's. But there's a great book called "Telling Yourself the Truth," and if you can tell yourself the truth, that this journey is real, I'm real, the pain I'm facing, the hardship I'm going through, that's all real. But my God is a real God, and his power is with me, and the greater reality than what I'm facing is who God is. If we can start to play that tape, and play tapes of positivity. Also other people add into the tape, Mark. You kind of have, not you, one has to be kind of careful who you allow to put tapes in your brain. There are some people, when you're going through a journey like the journey of cancer or anything like that, you kind of have to be careful who you let to play tapes. They'll you always have Job's friends, that come around, and you have to limit their access to your life. You have to set boundaries, and and then create positive tapes, scripture, how you think, how you talk to yourself, telling yourself, "I shall live and not die. The Lord is my strength and my redeemer. He is the strength of my life. He is the source of my light. And God is not abandoning me. He's not left me, and he has not vexed me with this." You begin to repeat it and create it. Positive kinds of prayer, simple prayer. Sometimes in the journey like cancer, one can just get to the place where you feel like you can't pray. I don't even know what to pray. That's where I have found um, tremendous help in more liturgical type of praying. For example, the Lord's Prayer, or for your Catholic subscribers, the Our Father. the great thing about the Lord's Prayer is you don't have to be creative. You don't have to figure out what you can pray. I went through a very dark time at a church I pastored, and at one point, the inner tape said to me, "You don't have a prayer. You're not going to get through this." And the voice of God said, "You do have a prayer if you'll just use it." And I started, Mark, I probably say the Lord's Prayer now 20, 30, 40 times a day. At that time, I was saying it 100 times a day, just over and over and over again. And then I connected it to Psalm 23 and and turned it into an internal liturgy of strength. The scriptures, then, in other words, can be the right tapes to play.
And I love the way you frame that, as far as tapes. I had never quite heard it that way, so that's a great analogy. I love that. What's, and you brought it out. What's important is being able to attain that position of being an autopilot as far as your attitude goes. And so if you could talk about what it takes to get to that autopilot situation where it becomes who you are and part of you.
Well, part of it um, is the devoted repetition of the good tapes. So I know it sounds um, maybe it sounds a little trite, but if you don't want to say the wrong thing to yourself, then don't put your brain in neutral. Say the right thing to yourself and say it over and over and over again and repeat it and wallow around in it. Saturate yourself in the right thing so that you actually kind of squeeze out the possibility of the wrong thing entering in. What can happen is that people kind of put their paradigm mechanism in neutral, and it never catches hold. So they're constantly subject to the intrusion of the wrong tapes. After you do it for long enough, it actually becomes part of you. It actually becomes the way you think, the way you think about life, the way you think about everything that happens changes as you play those good tapes long enough, often enough, internally saturate your brain, your spirit, your mind, your emotions in those tapes. Sooner or later, it's like a motor memory in sports. If you run the same layup 10,000 times in the middle of a game, you're going to run that layup. I used to coach and play sports. And so if you can get motor memory in your emotions and your mind, you come to the place where you don't have to force yourself to think the right thing. You think the right thing because it's the way you think.
Well said. That is absolutely beautiful. For me, in this situation, uh, with this channel, we have run a cancer advocacy group on Thursdays at 12 Eastern called the Cancer Conquering Community.
Mm.
And the message that I have both in this channel and in the community is one of hope and inspiration. I also on LinkedIn, I have over 31,000 subscribers now, and I'm very blessed to have that.
Yes.
And what I do every morning is I post positive messages or positive videos or just things that inspire people. And so
Wonderful.
every day I get messages, hey, thanks for, posting what you do. In fact, I had one guy say to me, he goes, wow, your team is incredible. I mean, how do you find this amazing stuff every day? And I just laughed because I said, you know, the team that you envision is just me.
the
That's it.
team of one. The team of one.
Yes. And that's it. But I think as far as I'm concerned, I do these things but I also have to live up to who I portray myself to be.
Mm,
I can't put myself out there as being, this positive person and the way, person who looks at it, things this way and be negative. It's just, I cannot do that. I just absolutely cannot do that. And it's very important to me to maintain who I am at all times. And so I mean, people say, how in the how in the world do you keep a positive attitude with cancer? I said, I mean, it's easy. That's the only thing I had.
mm,
You know, that's all I had was my mind was strong, it was healthy. Everything else was broken down. My body, I was so weak,
mm.
I could barely walk across the room. And so that is the gift that I had through my cancer journey was I wanted to learn, I wanted to absorb, I wanted to inspire people while going through cancer. So if you could talk a little bit about that, uh, maintaining who you are no matter what you're going through.
Yes, I mean, you're going to come to this book, but that's the whole point of the book that I've just written is look, it isn't all about when we have something as horrible and as frightening as cancer, which is it's just a frightening word when you hear it. You have to get past that entry into the tunnel. Um, but everybody deals with you just wake up in the morning and everything you got hurts and the world looks different. And, the 21-year-old at the supermarket thinks they know everything. And it's complicated terrain. The second thing is, like having a disease like cancer, old age is not something we've ever done before. There's no training for it. And so I made my mind up that I'm simply not going to spend my old age chasing kids out of my yard. Get away from my apple trees. I'm just not. I'm not going to be that person. I've spent 57 years in the ministry preaching the positive love of God and the healing and redeeming faith of Jesus Christ. I'm not now in my 70s going to be a mean old guy. I'm just not going to do that. So writing the book in a way was a way to hold my hold my own feet to the fire. And you're doing that with your podcast, Mark. In a way, you're doing that because yes, you're helping everybody else, but everybody's watching you to see whether you
Oh,
really.
yes.
so
Absolutely.
so that's another way to make yourself do it right, think it right, say it right, and live it right is go public. And then this is who I am. I had a conflict with a girl. I went to a grocery store the other day, and it was not a grocery store I'd ever been in. It was awkward. It nothing seemed to be right. I think it was a foreign grocery store, and so the little girl at the cash register was rude to me, I thought. And so she caught me off guard, and I was pretty rude back. I mean, we took care of each other. And I got out to my car, and it just, maybe you've never ever had a guilt, but it just began to weigh on me. Finally, I had to turn my car around, drive all the way back, go into the grocery store, and the little girl's still there. I said, "Young lady, when I came through a minute ago, I'm afraid I didn't respond to you as I should have, and I apologize." And she says, "Whatever." and I,
Wow.
and I just burst out laughing. I said, "This is perfect. This doesn't have it. Her attitude doesn't have anything to do with me." And she says, "Whatever." And I just started laughing.
But you were the bigger person to actually do that, and I commend you for that. So that'll be a great segue into your book. So,
Okay.
what is the title of your book, and what's it about?
The title of the book is Keep On Keeping On: How to Die Young as Old as Possible. And the concept of the book is that as we age physically and do with all the stuff, look, it goes with everybody. That's nobody's exempt on this journey. Somebody might be exempt of, say, cancer or arthritis or something, but nobody's exempt of age. The only so what I say is dying young means with a youthful attitude, dying as a young with a young mindset, with energy and life and vitality, as old as possible. And I teach. The whole book is about keep on various aspects of keep on laughing. I think a sense of humor is absolutely redemptive and healing. And keep on laughing, keep on loving, keep on forgiving. Even the nitwit girl at the grocery store, keep on forgiving. Um, all of those kinds of things. Sometimes we think keep on keeping on means I have to do what I've always done the way I've done it, no matter how I feel. That's not what keeping on means. Keeping on means keeping on living in joy and determination and delight, irrespective of what I'm facing today. Today, maybe something hurts. Today, I'm sick. Today, I have to go for chemotherapy. Today, I have that. But that doesn't change who I am in my life. Who I am is a person of a youthful mindset, of joy unspeakable. Look, didn't the Bible say a merry heart doeth good like medicine? So I say, good, you have to take all the things you have to take. You have to do all that. I'm not anti getting all the help you can get. But what I am saying is joy and laughter and forgiveness may have a greater medicinal value than anything you can put in your mouth.
I 1000% agree. Just I couldn't have said it any better. I mean, and it's great coming from you because I love hearing that, and that's absolutely incredible. I totally agree with you. So, what else have you written about in the book?
I wrote about the value. Someone that I trust and has a great deal of my confidence read the epilogue, and you told me before the broadcast about the most wonderful message you'd ever gotten, and I think the most wonderful review I ever got. He said the epilogue to this book is the most important chapter that you've ever written. This is my 20th book. The previous 19 are very serious. They're very much, one is about emotional healing, one is about the life and leadership of King David. I've all those books, 19 books. This one is about something that nobody's exempt from. We are going to face the changes in our bodies, our eyes, our lives, our relationships. Marriage is different in your 70s. The girl you married at 19 does not look or act or move like she does at 77. That's not, and you got to get your mind around that and stay in love.
Well said. I love that.
I always say nobody gets to marry a photograph. You take a photograph of a 19-year-old girl on her wedding day, you can't hold her in bondage to that. You what you don't marry a photograph, you marry the whole movie. And the movie's moving on and you got to move on. So I was doing marriage counseling with a guy the other day in his late 50s. He was overweight and balding like I am. And he says, Dr. Rutland, my wife just doesn't turn me on anymore. And I said, you're not exactly Tom Cruise. I said, look in the mirror, friend. We're we're all moving on. She's got to deal with you. Got to deal with who she is, but you got to put. She's got to deal with who you are.
Isn't that the truth? Oh, I love that. I love that. I want to share with everyone what Dr. Mark and I were talking about earlier. I received the best text message I've ever received in my life the other day, and it's from a gentleman I've actually interviewed on this channel. His name is Mike Starks, and he texted me, and he's followed my diet that you could take a look on the channel. And here's what he said. He said, "Thank you, Mark, for your servant's heart. You literally saved my life."
Praise God.
Now, that is the reason why this channel is still
Praise
was
God.
started, why it's still going, and why it will continue going. And I mean, that is the best text message I've ever received or message I've received in my life.
Praise
And
God.
so Mike, thanks for sending me that. It really, really is really, really important to me. And
Good.
and if you want to chime in on that, Dr. Mark, yeah, I'd like to hear uh, your thoughts.
Yeah, you have to get your mind around what you're facing, what you're dealing with, change everything you can change, fix everything you can fix, get a determined mindset, um, change that diet, change the way you think, and embrace life and all of its change. Embrace the movie for you. Embrace the movie. This is life. It's moving on. The Bible never lied to you. There's a whole chapter in the book of Proverbs about aging, and and the Bible never lied to any of us. And if we can embrace the here's what I'd like. I know this may sound crazy. I would like to, when the nurse leans over and puts her ear against my mouth on my deathbed, I'd like her to hear a chuckle. I'd like somebody to say, that old guy died laughing. And that's the joy, the suppleness, the winsomeness, the attractiveness of it. You makes your life attractive to others, and we're not wallowing in the vicissitudes of life. We're surfing on the top of the wave, and it is possible. It's the way to live, and it's the way to keep that youthful vitality. There's stuff I can't do anymore. I played men's league basketball till I was 42, and then I ruptured my anterior cruciate ligament, and I realized that's over. I'm not having ACL replacement surgery. I'm not making it in the NBA. I'm 5'8". That's over with. But it does not the end of my life. I move on and embrace the joy, things I've never had any interest in that I do have interest in. I'm still learning things. I'm still gaining things. I'm still writing. I've written more books since I turned 70 than I did in my 60s.
Wow, congratulations. That's awesome. I love hearing that. You know, I think that it always scares me when I hear people say, I'm going to retire, and I ask them what they're going to do.
Mm.
And they say, oh, I'm just going to relax and not have to work and everything like that. But, and if you could talk about this very subject, I think it's very relevant uh, to the whole conversation. I think it's so important that people keep continuing to learn no matter what every day. I
Yes.
mean, and that's what kept me going during my cancer journey was every morning I was excited to wake up and so blessed to open my eyes because I knew that I would have an opportunity to experience another day and I could learn because that's all I had was my mind. My body was completely compromised, but my mind was really strong and my mind was really, really hungry for knowledge and to learn on a daily basis. And so if you wouldn't mind talking about uh, the hunger to learn as we age, how important
Yeah.
that is.
First of all, it's important for your brain, the health of your brain. You may coast a little more with your body than you should with your brain. Your brain needs to be active. You need to keep reading. You need to keep learning. Try new stuff. Um, keep making your Sudoku puzzles harder. Press yourself. Um, yeah, look what you've done. You started this podcast. I have one. It's not 31,000 people. I'm now riddled with envy and anger, but my podcast, I had never watched a podcast till I had one because the young people around me said, Dr. Mark, let's do a podcast. And I have an X account, used to be Twitter. I was very resistant to Twitter. I said nobody can say anything meaningful in 140 characters. Also, I was grieved by the verb tweet. I didn't want to tweet. And so, but I kept learning things and kept doing things. Now you may quit doing certain things. I came to 70 and I realized I didn't want hundreds of employees and $100 million budget and uh, the board at Global Servants and the board at Oral Roberts University. And I just didn't want all that. But not wanting all that doesn't mean I don't want nothing. So I still travel, I preach, I teach, I do the National Institute of Christian Leadership. I own a consulting firm, and it's gone very well. I kind of started the Rutland consultancy on a whim, and I was a little more prepared for hardship than I was for success. That's taken off, and so I don't know what's next. I'm not quitting. I just quit doing some stuff.
Awesome. Awesome. I really appreciate your time, and I know our audience does because you've shared some incredible knowledge with everyone. So, how would you summarize, your most important thing that you would like to share with our audience? And then I have one more final question for you.
Oh. All right. First of all, I don't want anybody to forget the book, so I hope they will. If all 31,000 of your subscribers will buy 5 books each, that's going to be great. So it's called Keep On Keeping On: How to Die Young as Old as Possible. There's the cover of it, and I make one guarantee, Mark. If you don't laugh even once, I'll refund your money. Okay. So
Can you get it on Amazon or where
e-
can they get it?
everywhere that books are sold, its official release date is January the 1st. But
Oh, okay.
they can also go to drmarkrutland.com, get it there. Global Servants, our ministry. I want you to know this probably doesn't matter to your readers. It matters to me to say it. I've sold hundreds of thousands of copies of books worldwide. I've never taken one penny, not one dime of it. It all goes to support the girls' homes in Thailand and West Africa. So I hope your listeners will spend themselves into bankruptcy. Forget about Dave Ramsey. uh, well, you
That's
asked me what's
great.
my last thing. So here it is: the attitude with which you approach anything, whether it is success or failure or health or a cancer diagnosis. The attitude with which you approach it is probably going to be a greater determinant on the process and the outcome than any other thing. I'm not saying you shouldn't do other things, but I'm saying your attitude is probably the number one determinant.
Love it. Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. And my final question is this for you, Dr. Mark. We talked about a little bit about the subject before we got on. our world is has become so divisive. Hopefully, uh, people will start coming together better and everything. Uh, if you were in charge,
Oh,
if you were in charge of this and you could do anything, okay, you have the ability to do anything involving this, how would you make this world a better place?
well, first of all, nobody wants me in charge. Let me make that clear right away. I think we're all unanimous on that. But if I were in charge, I would have every person alive or every person who will ever be alive to have a faith encounter with Jesus Christ of Nazareth, that they would know him and be known of him. And he is the transformational truth. He is the truth. He is certainly our way through life, and he is life itself. But he's the transformational truth. If I could give that to every person, whether you're a Muslim in Bangladesh or a Republican in Georgia, I would pray that you will have a faith and face-to-face encounter with the Lord Jesus Christ.
I couldn't have said it any better. Thank you so much for spending this time with our audience on To Be Your Own Hero, Dr. Mark. We really appreciate you, and I'm truly honored that you shared this time with everyone. And coming back to you, the audience of To Be Your Own Hero, uh, please like, subscribe, make a comment in the comment section of the video. But most importantly, life is short. Life is very short. I mean, in the blink of an eye, where did 20 years go? Where did 30 years go? Where did 40, 50 years go? It happens that quick. So make the most of our most precious commodity, which is time. And because once time passes, it's gone. So make the most out of each and every day, hour, every minute, and every second of every day. And I hope everybody has a very blessed week. And thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you next week on To Be Your Own Hero. Have a great week, everyone. And thank you.